Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. And today's video is going to be a little different from usual. As you know, I opened this channel in order to share my experience about certain things in life and to hopefully help other people like you on the other side of the screen that watches this in their own experiences and in their own living. And I thought, how can I make this even more specific, and how can I really firsthand help people on the other side of the screen? So I decided to start searching online for people that asking for advices and asking for help and for topics that I can relate to try and help them. So I went on Reddit, on the subreddit advice, and I found this call for advice. How do I help my brother? I, 15-year-old female, have a little brother, male, 10-year-old, who is being bullied for being bigger than his peers, and my parents aren't being much help. Now, my parents are tackling the situation of my brother being bullied in ways that I can't entirely agree with. They're both divided on which method to approach the situation, which leads them clashing. My father being rather aggressive with the way he's handling things. For example, the other day I asked my dad if we could get ice cream, and he said no because he was too tired and didn't want to drive anywhere. My brother also asked for an ice cream, and the dad said, "No, we don't need ice cream, especially not you," while hitting her brother's stomach, not in an abusive way, but as a playful jab, which she didn't find funny. If you want to read the whole thing that this girl wrote, I will leave the link down below. But one thing I can tell you about myself is that I feel the same as your brother. I feel the same as this kid that she's talking about. And I will make this video as if I'm talking to that girl. But first of all, I want to say that it's good that you are there next to him, because you are playing a really big role in his life at the moment. And the role is that you being his lighthouse. You are being the guidance in a dark time. You are being his person that he can lean on while everybody else doesn't care. And especially at this age, at 10 and 15, it is something really rare, Let me tell you about myself. I was really overweight when I was 10 years old. I remember it really clearly. I was really overweight. I think almost 100 kilos. And I remember being bullied for it, being bullied for it at school, being bullied for it outside of school, in the street, going from school home, going from home to a friend. Sometimes I get bullied just because, And people would call me fat. People would hit me at sometimes. And I remember it really clearly, but I had no one to help me. I had my brother, which also, by the way, sometimes used to call me fat and whatnot. I had my sister, and she's a younger sister. And I had my friends. But basically, I had no one to protect me. And every time I would go home, and I don't really remember, even if I ever told my parents that I got bullied for that. I think I did tell them that I was called fat, and I obviously I was crying and I showed my feelings, but they never really did anything to protect me, I think, at least in my feeling. And I'm not blaming them for that, but it's just the way it was, But in your case, it's a little bit different. You mentioned that your dad is not making your brother's life easier, and your mom as well. The first thing personally what I would do is trying to be talkative with the dad, to stop stomping on your brother, because I know how your brother feels. I've been there. And although you already said that it doesn't help, maybe try to ask the help of your aunt, your grandma. I don't know what's the family situation, but maybe someone that is more adult with more authority towards your dad, although he's a grown-up, but that can actually intervene, And if that doesn't help, me personally, what I would do is, but again, it's really a bit extreme, but that was the kind of kid that I was. I would just stop talking to my dad about anything. if someone that is important to me would laugh at me for being fat when I was younger, I would stop talking to him, to her, whatever. And I remember that really vividly because this is what I told to myself back then, I didn't care. I didn't care if you were my brother, I didn't care if you were my dad, I didn't care if you were my mother. And at some point, me and my brother, we weren't the best friends growing up. Today we are better friends because we are adults and we can show it to each other more and talk about stuff more. But back then, he had his own friends, I had my own friends. But one thing overall I can suggest to you that helped me is to maybe try and tell your brother or sign him up to martial arts class. You said that he's playing football and that's okay for the sport. But I really think for me, I started boxing at one point. I did it for 3 years, and for me, it really gave me confidence. It really gave me the ability to get up every time I was knocked down, or if I had someone hurting me, to learn how to fight back. And I'm not mean only physically, I mean also mentally. How to fight back. And I had a supportive environment, which is also very important. If your brother doesn't have someone to support him besides you, then he needs to go and find supportive environment. And again, he's 10-year-old, and I get it. But this is where you get into the picture. You are also young, but you are better than anybody else he has in his life at the moment. Try and maybe talk to your parents about signing him to martial arts. An environment where he won't be laughed at for his weight, but an environment where he will be guided, where he will be pushed forward by his teammates, and not being laughed at. I remember every time we used to do hard trainings and whatnot, I used to be behind, because I was fat. I was fat and I couldn't run as fast, I couldn't move as fast, I couldn't think as fast because I was fighting for my breath, But one thing they never did, they never laughed at me because I was fat. They always pushed me forward. They were waiting for me until I will arrive to them. And I don't mean that they lowered the standards for me, but they made me feel like I belong, And at one point I lost weight, It was, I think, one of the first time I lost weight in my life, like a substantial amount. But maybe this is the number one thing I can advise you, to try and put your brother in a supportive environment. And I would recommend on a martial arts environment, because it will be physically hard, it will be mentally hard and challenging, and the environment will be a supportive environment no matter what. I promise you. These are the kind of people that going there, people that want to support each other and looking for this support. And I promise you that in no time, when he gets a little bit older, into his teenage years, he will see the effect. Also physically. At 10 years old, you don't really develop really physically. At least that's what I had, I was still a fat kid. I had like a really late development, physical development. But doing some kind of hard sports, and I'm not talking football, with all due respects to football, I don't talk about football. I talk about a really hard martial arts environment where sometimes you need to fight for your life, because the other opponent wants to knock you out. This is what I'm talking about. And within time, he can start getting his confidence back and gaining some new friends that push him and not bringing him down. He will maybe start winning some fights that will make him even more confident about himself. And from there, it will just keep going up, So I guess this is my advice. This is my ultimate advice that helped me, at least, to pass this obstacle in my life, And to this day, I use mental tools that I got from that period in my life in order to not go back and be that fat kid that I once was, you know? And my genetics is so bad, I think, that I can still be so fat in no time. But it's just, everything is here at the end of the day, you know, in the head. But one thing I want to tell you is that it's a good thing that he has you, and keep being there for him. Because as you grow up and as you grow older, your bond will just become stronger and he will appreciate you for everything you've done for him. And I'm sure that he will also return a favor for you as his sister when the time is right. So this is my advice, and I hope I could help you even a little bit. But stay strong, and that's it. If you're not subscribed yet, guys, please do. And I see you all in the next video. Thank you.